Michael Jordan, allegedly the best defensive player in the league that year. That's all I'm going to say about that. Whoever made this chart knows exactly what they're doing. Because without Jokić, the team goes nowhere. And with Jokić, they can be a championship contender. God damn. Like I said, respect to MJ. He is definitely top 2. And he is too. Fight me on it.
He has 5, which has essentially set
everybody. If you know me, you know who I am. If you don't know me, I am a React content creator. I like to react to everything, whether that be TikTok, YouTube, drama, nonsense, or basketball, whether that be modern day NBA, different basketball creators, or just, basketball insight. I got you. So if you like basketball insight, I'm that guy. And if you like brain rot, I'm that guy. So today, B-ball, we're going to be reacting to JxmyHighroller. It's been a minute. JxmyHighroller, the greatest MVP race of our time. Interesting. I'm curious to see. Spot Shai and Jokić, I'm assuming. I made a video I reacted to a video, I want to say, I cannot remember. I would think it was Mike Korzemba. I reacted to his video. But as far as JxmyHighroller, love the guy. Love the guy. So we're going to react to his thoughts on it. We're going to see what's going on with that. So, first and foremost, though, let's talk about it. All right? If you saw my video yesterday, you saw what I said. I gave you guys my input. And it was even put in a comment on my video as well. Somebody said that was damn near perfect if it wasn't for the fucking Wizards. And that is true. I told you guys the Magic was going to win. I told you that the Wizards was going to win this fourth quarter, dude. This fucking fourth. Man. I told you guys that the Bulls were going to lose, and I said the Mavericks were going to win, and the only reason I didn't make this parlay, and I'm glad I didn't, I would not have won money, but I'd make some parlays here and there, but I just don't be betting like crazy because, I'm broke. But the reason I didn't make this parlay is because of the Bulls. I refuse to bet against my team. I know we're not good. I get that, but I'm never going to bet against my team. I will always give my honest opinion, and I want us to win, but I'm never going to bet against my team. But as for this parlay goes, if you guys bet it last night, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't think that the Wizards were going to whiz it up, okay? I could have sworn. They had it. They fucking had it, and they just threw it away in the fourth, dude. They fucking had it. It's just, I don't want to talk about it. The point is, got the Mavericks, got the Lakers, got the Thunder, got the Celtics. Okay. Nonetheless, dude. Where's my notes? I got a few notes here. Give me a second. Let me pull up my notes. Let me put up the box scores. Let me make sure everything's ready. Let's talk real quick as far as like the Lakers go and my Bulls, because I want to talk about my Bulls a little bit. Okay. So real quick with the Lakers, we'll talk about them first. So first and foremost, Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, they're deadly, okay? Offensively, they're going to be extremely hard to stop because I feel like Austin Reeves is able to get a bucket on his own. He's a playmaker. Luka's a playmaker. LeBron's a playmaker. Jackson Hayes, I like the dude a lot. They just need another big. If anything is going to be their Achilles heel, it's going to be Jackson Hayes. Rui Hachimura, he played well. Vanderbilt, I like him as far as his defense. That's the reason he's on the floor. That's the reason he's always on the floor. Vincent, he was able to hit some shots. I told you guys, in order for the Lakers to do anything this year, Vincent needs to actually step up. Okay. The Grizzlies played very well. I will say this third quarter, though, is not good. Now, the Lakers put the clamps on in the fourth, and I'll respect them for that. But this third quarter, dude, you had the Bulls have a 44-point fourth quarter, and give it to the Bulls. They have had excellent fourth quarters, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the Bulls in a second. But this is absolutely ridiculous, dude. You cannot be giving up this many points in a quarter, and the Lakers defensively just need to work on their shit. They need to work on their shit defensively. They got to make sure they're ready for the playoffs when it comes. Their first playoff series, I hope they get their shit together. I think really they're going to be tested in the second round. Because even in the first round, they're either going to face Houston. Who would they face? They're going to face Houston. No, because Houston is 2, aren't they? They might fuck around and face the fucking Nuggets the first round. which would be kind of scary. No, they would face Memphis. Okay, I got the Lakers beating Memphis. So Lakers would beat Memphis and they would face OKC in the second round. Fuck. The Lakers have the chance to get this seed from the Nuggets, but it's just all dependent. We'll see what happens. I'll go ahead and give you guys my thoughts on tonight's games, and we'll go from there. But as far as like the Lakers, this was a good game, and they were able to close it out as they should and make sure they go home with a W. This was a tough team. John Morant played well. Desmond Bane played well. Jaren Jackson Jr. played well. I really like those three, okay? Even Scottie Pippen Jr., right? Yeah, Scottie Pippen Jr. played decently as well. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna be honest. I'm not gonna be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Zach Edey played well. Like, this whole team as a whole was eaten last night, and the Grizzlies were playing some tough ball. They were playing like they really wanted this win, but the Lakers were able to come out with it, beat Memphis, get up in the standings, and hopefully they can get up to that third seed, because I really don't want them facing OKC until the conference finals. But if they got to face them in the second round, it is what it is. You just can only face who you're going to face. I like the little recreation of Luka and LeBron, fucking Luka throwing the ball up and LeBron slamming it, and Luka looking tough on camera, kind of that recreation of the D-Wade LeBron shit. I like the black headband LeBron's coming out with. Like, I respect it, right? But one thing I will say is that Memphis being 14 of 32, you held them down to 32 threes. I'll give you that. But again, they got to work better on the clamps, bro. They got to work better on the clamps. The transition defense looked a little better. I'll give them that. But this was a fun game. This was a very fun game. The coaching change was a bit weird to me. I don't understand why you would fire Taylor Jenkins when you're like, what, 3-4 weeks away from the playoffs? I don't understand that. That's very odd to me. And I haven't really heard any like news on that as far as why they did that in the first place. But okay, good game with the Lakers. We yapped about the Lakers enough. Lakers, Grizzlies. This is going to be a fun matchup if it is in the playoffs. I do think the Lakers would walk away from this. And if you want me to give you a game, I say the Lakers walk away in 6, because I do see them giving away a game because their defense is just abysmal and they end up lacking. And then I see them giving away a game just because Memphis just comes out with a win. But I see the Lakers winning in 6 against the Grizzlies because I think they just are the better team. And at this point, I'll say better coached as well, because they just got rid of their coach, Taylor Jenkins, who is a good coach, for somebody that I just don't trust that well as far as playoff experience. But we'll see what happens. Now, the Mavericks and the Bulls. Okay. The Bulls nearly pulled it out again. Couldn't get it. Didn't have enough time. But Klay Thompson hit 2 clutch free throws at the end of the game to ice it. Anthony Davis, he was not that good. He was 7 of 23, 0 for 4. He didn't play well, but again, this win helps them as far as staying in the play-in. I do think they have a decent lineup. It would be fun to watch them in the playoffs. I don't think they're doing anything. Klay Thompson had 20, and I would like to see what he can do in the play-in. But it's fucking crazy to say that an injured Mavericks team without Kyrie Irving is probably going to make the playoffs versus a Phoenix team. Like, that's sad. Sacramento, right? Phoenix can steal this seed because they'll be 7 through 10. But it is crazy to say that the Suns may not make the play-in, let alone the playoffs. That is extremely sad. I like the way that the Bulls have been playing. Their fourth quarter has been absolutely insane. Number 1 for the last few games as far as like defense and offense efficiency. Again, Matisse, he's the future. I love him. I love him on the team. I truly just feel like we need a leader. I like Vucevic, but I don't think he's a leader. Kobe played well. The team as a whole played well. Josh Giddey did not have that good of a game. He was all right. But this was a win that I feel like the Mavericks needed as far as like their confidence go, especially if they want to push in the play in and really do anything. I don't know if they can do anything, but hey, I mean, who would they be facing? It would be 7-8 faces the loser, the winner of 9-10. So it'd be the Suns versus Dallas. I think Dallas would take that, and I think Golden State would beat the Timberwolves. So it'd be the Timberwolves versus Dallas. And honestly, I feel like the Timberwolves can take that. But okay. Enough yapping. I talked enough ball. Let me give you guys a prediction as far as like today's games go, and let's get to reacting to this video. All right. So, I think the Cavs are gonna take this. Scores 91-76 halfway through the third quarter. I think the Cavs are gonna take this game. God. Anyway, I think the Cavs obviously, but that's whatever. I think the Knicks, Bucks and Hawks. I got the Bucks. Honestly, I got the T-Wolves. I like the Pistons, and they have been playing well. I just think the T-Wolves are at home, and they play good at home, so I'm taking the T-Wolves. But hey, the Pistons play well when they're away as well, so I wouldn't put too much hate on the Pistons because I like them, and they've been a fun team, but I just think the Timberwolves will come out with the win today. The Hornets and the Pelicans, I'm taking the Pelicans. I just don't trust the Hornets whatsoever. The Warriors and the Spurs, the Warriors need this win. The Warriors need this win. So I think they're going to come out with a little bit more energy than the Spurs are. I understand the Spurs are on a back-to-back, and they just lost to Boston as well. So that's going to be affecting them. The Sixers and the Raptors, I will always bet against the Sixers. I don't care who they're playing. So I'm going Raptors. And the Rockets and the Suns, funny enough, I'm going Suns. I feel like the Suns need this win, and they have enough firepower to win this game. But if the Rockets win, I will not be shocked, but I think the Suns just absolutely need to win this game. So if I had to pick one, I'm going with the Suns, and I'm hoping that they come out with a sense of urgency. So that's my picks, guys. Suns, Sixers, Warriors, Pelicans, Timberwolves, Bucks, and Knicks. So with that being said, enough yapping about ball. Let's yap some more about ball. And let's watch some JxmyHighroller, huh?
We are now just a few weeks away from the end of the 2025 NBA regular season, and by this point, the MVP race is usually all but wrapped up. But what do you do when there's two MVPs? History says you vote for the guy who is leading his team to the most wins of any team in a decade while putting up prime Michael Jordan numbers. Very clearly the best player on the best team, which should make this decision pretty obvious. Except it's not, because history has never seen a season like the one Nikola Jokić is having. It's better than this one, and this one, and this one. In fact, it is possibly the most impactful season anyone has ever had. 2 all-time great campaigns and only 1 trophy. It is the greatest MVP race in recent history, and it has left voters completely torn, questioning what it even means to be the NBA's most valuable player. Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. It's that time of year, my friends. The NBA season.
That's right. That's right. Go on DraftKings. Put in that parlay. Put in those picks. Hurry up. By the time you watch this, it might be too late.
Kings Pick 6, you're not just selecting players.
I'm joking. Don't be gambling if you ain't got the money. If you're broke like me, don't gamble.
Whether it's points, rebounds, three-pointers, points and assists, choose if they'll go over or under the given line. Once you've made your picks, lock them in and compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes. And right now, all new customers who play just $5 will automatically receive $50 in Pick 6 credits. That's right, new customers who play just $5 will receive $50 in Pick 6 credits. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and sign up with code JxmyHighroller to claim your offer. That's promo code JxmyHighroller only on DraftKings Pick 6. The most compelling case someone can make to be the most valuable player in the league is to put up the best numbers in the league. This isn't the only ingredient to the MVP recipe, but it's a big one. And right now, Jokić and Shai aren't just having the 2 best seasons in the NBA, they're having 2 of the best seasons of all time. Just looking at some simple box score numbers, Nikola Jokić jumps off the screen like the obvious favorite. A near 30 point.
Jesus fuck, bro. Jokić is a goddamn cheat code. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Jokić is such a cheat code that I understand his fan base is fucking, they love him. they will defend him like crazy. And listen, I like Jokić a lot too, but it's crazy how I got attacked because I said Jokić has the ability right now to just be top 20 where he's at. I said he's top 20 where he's at right now, and he has the ability, if he keeps playing, wins a couple more times, to end up in a top 5 conversation. And people were pissed. What? You don't think he's top 5 right now? It's like, not right now. No. He can get there. He's got that skill. But no. But damn. It's crazy that you're so good that you got people who will debate whether or not you're top 5 already. He is a cheat code in the game of basketball. Imagine if the guy just fucking cared about basketball.
Point triple-double on nearly the best efficiency in the entire league, and the first player to ever be top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists. Numbers that make Shai's season look a bit pedestrian, despite being historic. 33, 5, and 6 on at least 60% true shooting is a stat line that has only been achieved by 3 other players in the history of the NBA: Michael Jordan, James Harden, and Luka Doncic across 5 different seasons. Although none of them were as efficient from the floor as Shai is this season. However, box score numbers by themselves have never been quite enough to compel voters. Of these 5 previous seasons, only one of them ended up winning the MVP, Michael Jordan in '88. And to pull it off, he had to also be the best defensive player in the league. In the case of Jokić, there's only been one season.
Allegedly. Michael Jordan, allegedly the best defensive player in the league that year. That's all I'm going to say about that.
In modern NBA history that compares to his, Russell Westbrook in 2017. And that season, he was the runaway MVP, receiving 69 of the total 101 first-place votes. The glaring difference between these 2 seasons? The mile-wide gap in their efficiency. Nearly a decade and some of the most absurd statistical seasons later, and the upgraded version of Westbrook's MVP season not only doesn't warrant a runaway victory for the award, it may not even win it. But these numbers hardly even scratch the surface of the impact and value these 2 provide every game. If we take a deeper look into some of their more advanced numbers, we can see just how remarkable Shai and Jokić have been this season and why the MVP race is as close as it is. To put into perspective the caliber of season these 2 are having, LeBron at his absolute statistical peak had a box plus minus of 13.24. Steph Curry at his absolute best had a BPM of 11.94. This season, Jokić has a box plus minus of 13.21 and Shai is at 11.58. Choosing between Jokić and SGA this season is like picking between 09 LeBron and 2016 Steph. Good luck. For the last half-decade, Jokić has led the league in just about every advanced metric by about a mile. But this season, Shai has threatened Jokic's spot and even dethroned him at times as the best player in the league. A feat that, in and of itself, is probably the most impressive thing he's done all season. On any given night, either one of them can look like the most impactful player on the planet. And even looking at advanced numbers, the edge is only slightly in Jokic's favor. Crafted NBA has Jokić as the best player in the NBA this season, with Shai right behind him, and then a really big gap, and then everyone else. Estimated plus minus on with Shai right behind him, and then a really big gap, and then everyone else.
Who made this chart? Whoever made this chart knows exactly what they're doing. That's all I'm gonna say.
Estimated plus minus, on the other hand, has Shai as the best player in the league this season, with Jokić right behind him, and then huge gap, everyone else. A quick glance at any of these catch-all statistics will tell you that Jokić and SGA are both historically and almost equally as dominant this season. Fortunately for those who are put to the difficult task of choosing between Jokić and SGA for MVP, these numbers have never been a direct indication of who will or who should win the award. Over the last 2 decades, the best or most impactful player in the NBA in any given season, according to some of the best advanced metrics, ended up winning the MVP award only about half of the time. Many times, these are cases where the individual numbers were backed with regular season team success, but rarely have the numbers alone, regardless of how great they were, been enough to be crowned the most valuable player in the league. In fact, if putting up the best stats automatically made a player the MVP, voting for the award wouldn't even be necessary. So in terms of sheer individual numbers, there isn't a very compelling case to be made in either direction. Jokić.
I said this in the last one, and I'll say it again in this one. I think the difference between Jokić and Shai is that Shai is part of an amazing system, and he is a good cog in that system. Jokić is part of a good system, but he is the system, right? Like, how do I word this, right? Shai is a very important piece to the car. I should be using this analogy because I'm not big on cars. I know, I'm not a real man. I know, I'm sorry. My father left to get milk, man. He hasn't been back in forever. Give me a break. But Shai is like an important piece of a car that you may not need. I don't know what piece that would be, but just insert car piece here, huh? For the car heads. But he's an important piece. But your car can still run without it, but it probably shouldn't. Probably shouldn't. You know, you still need it. But you can still go without it. But Jokić, the car just breaks down. I'm going to engine, right? I'm going to engine. Okay, I don't need to know cars to know that much. Jokić is the engine. He breaks down, the team breaks down. So, in other words, Shai goes down. I take Shai and Jokić away from their teams. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder may be like a 3rd or 4th seed. You know? And maybe not their win about 50 games, 45 to 50 games. Take away Jokić from his team, I think they don't even make the playoffs. They make the play-in, but not the playoffs. I think they end up being like a 9th seed, maybe 8th or 9th seed, and maybe they make the playoffs by winning through the play-in, but I think that's the main difference between these two. There is an excellent, and that's no offense to Shai, and I'm not saying he's not important. All I'm saying is that Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, they literally proved it. They proved that they can win without Shai, and they've done it. And they've won in dominant fashion without Shai. And they prove that the Nuggets can lose terribly without Jokić. So, I just think when it comes to most valuable player, right? Who is the most valuable player? And I gotta go with Jokić. I get the numbers may tweak the Shai in some degree, and this is no shitting on Shai, but it's just the fact that Jokić is literally the system. Without Jokić, that team breaks apart. Without Jokić, the team's not even contending. You get what I'm saying? So that's where I come in as far as this argument goes, but we'll see what happens.
Jokić's numbers are better, but without more context, their dominance from game to game is virtually the same. So we need to add more context. How are these performances impacting their team? And to what extent does their historic production lead their team to success? In most cases, when two players are having incredible seasons, the tiebreaker in the eyes of fans and voters comes down to how well their team is playing. The second ingredient to the MVP recipe: win and win often. 25 of the last 30 MVPs went to players who clinched either the 1st or 2nd seed in their conference. And right now, the Thunder aren't just winning more games than the Nuggets. They are the 4th highest winning team in modern NBA history. But recently, team success has held less weight in the MVP discussion than it has in the past. 3 of the last 4 MVPs going to players outside of the top 2 seeds. Nikola Jokić being just the 2nd player in over 40 years to win the MVP, despite his team not even cracking 50 wins in a full season back in 2021. As if the voters have made the decision that the MVP isn't limited to simply the best player on the best team, but rather the player who has the largest impact on a winning team. And right now, there is one player in basketball who is impacting the game far more than anyone else. Here are the current top 8 leaders in the MVP race: Jokić, Shai, Giannis, Tatum, Mitchell, Curry, Mobley, and LeBron. And here are the net ratings of each of their teams. Shai has put on a...
The fact that LeBron even has some votes in the MVP race is astonishing to me. I'm just saying, this is not a LeBron video. I know I got the man on my wall. I bring that up a lot, and I talk about LeBron a lot. I think I just made a Bronny video yesterday, so let me relax on the Bron talk, okay? I be talking about him a lot. I'm just saying, bro, that's a testament to the man's greatness. The man has some MVP votes at the age of 40. Like, come on now. Come on. But anyway, let's get back to Shai and Nikola Jokić, because these are the only 2 that matter. None of these guys are winning, but I just think it's crazy that Brown got some votes. That's all.
Masterclass all season, leading the Thunder to be not just the most dominant team this season, but the 2nd most dominant regular season team in NBA history in terms of net rating. And for many people, the overwhelming team success the Thunder have had this season is enough to push Shai into the lead for the MVP. But value isn't just when your team wins. It is how much your team depends on you to win. If we look at each team's net rating when their MVP candidate is on the floor, it is clear that the Thunder are easily the best team in the league when Shai is on the court, with an absurd net rating of plus 18.3. This means that when Shai is on the floor, the Thunder are nearly 20 points better than their opponents per 100 possessions, followed by the Cavs with Mobley, the Cavs with Mitchell, and the Nuggets with Jokić. But the most revealing measure is the difference a player makes for their team when they're on the court versus when they're off the court, where Nikola Jokić jumps out as by far the most valuable and important player to his team in the entire league. His presence on the floor is the difference between the Nuggets being a net negative 8.2 points, bordering the worst team in the NBA, and a plus 10.6, one of the best teams in the NBA. For many of these MVP candidates, their team can still compete at a high level even when they're off the court, like the Celtics without Tatum, the Cavs without Mitchell or without Mobley, the Lakers without LeBron, and the Thunder without Shai. Steph and Giannis are the only other MVP candidates who elevate their teams from below average to title contenders. But without Jokić on the floor this season, the Nuggets are nearly the worst team in the league. Now, it's worth considering who these players play around when they're on the floor. A rotation that tends to keep starters together is bound to favor those in that starting lineup compared to a rotation that pulls and plugs periodically. For example, if Jokić tends to play with starters more often than not, but SGA is constantly playing with rotational players, Jokic's numbers are going to appear better on paper because he's playing alongside a better group. And so I looked into this. How many possessions these MVP candidates have played this season, and how many of those possessions were exclusively with the starting lineup. And it turns out that Nikola Jokić does have the benefit of playing with the best players on the Nuggets more than any of these other candidates play with theirs. 17% of all of his minutes on the court coming alongside the Nuggets starters. For comparison, Steph only plays with the Warriors starting lineup 9% of the time. But in most cases, this number is negligible. For example, Giannis plays with the Bucks starters virtually as much as Jokić plays with his. And at most, the difference in time these players see on the court with their best unit varies by less than 10% of their total playing time. In other words, it does.
I want to see the percentages as far as Tom Thibodeau goes. I want to. If you know ball, you get that joke. I want to see. I want to see the percentages of the Knicks. I want to see what is the percentage of the starters playing in their possessions and their playing time. I'm curious. I'm curious as far as that goes.
Doesn't really matter who Jokić is playing around. He rises the tides for his entire team significantly more than anyone else in the entire league. In fact, according to Cleaning the Glass, when you translate these on-off splits to an estimation of impact on Denver's record, the Nuggets are a staggering 45 wins better as a team when Jokić is on the floor versus when he isn't.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the last video with Korzumba as well. I feel like that argument alone is enough to say Jokić probably deserves it. Now, Jokić is not going to win it. He's not going to win it. SGA is going to win it. There's no conversation here. But I think that dialogue needs to be set. We need to open this dialogue and just talk about it. We can talk about it as fans. But it's one of those things that got to make us think like, okay, hold on. We know that Jokić is not winning this year. We know that SGA is winning. But it is kind of crazy to say that one team is absolutely okay, absolutely fine, and successful with the other player not even being on the floor. And the other team is not even scraping the playoffs without their player. So who's really MVP here? Most valuable player. MVP. Most important player to your team. It's got to go Jokić. Because without Jokić, this team goes nowhere. And I think that matters. So I understand the argument of why people get upset as far as SGA being the MVP. Because the rules are ever changing. There's no set rules. Right? And I think that's the problem. And that's going to continue to be the problem. Because we're going to have aliens like Wembanyama. We're going to have great players come in and out of our league. And it's going to be hard as hell to really determine what do we mean by valuable? What do we mean by valuable, right? Does MVP mean you have to win more games than everyone else in the league? Or does it mean you're the most important part of your team? And if that's the case, are we really going to look past Jokić? Because I can see the argument on the other hand of like, well, if you're going to get the MVP to Jokić, we could get the MVP to another guy that their team doesn't win just as much games as Jokić, but they're more important than Jokić to their team, while putting up similar numbers. Now, obviously, that's not happening this year, but I'm just pointing that out. I get the arguments of both sides. I understand where people are coming from both sides. But the biggest thing when it comes to this MVP race, the biggest reason I say Jokić deserves it, is because without Jokić, the team goes nowhere. And with Jokić, they can be a championship contender. And that is something extremely important, and we got to make sure we mention it whenever we're having this conversation.
In comparison, Shai's on-court impact on the Thunder projects to them being about 15 wins better as a team. But this is where the discussion becomes a matter of what you value most in your most valuable player. Because while Jokić elevates the Nuggets to one of the best teams in the league, Shai elevates the Thunder to being one of the best teams of all time. Is it more valuable to drag your team from being bad to being in title contention? Or is it more valuable to elevate your team from title hopefuls to overwhelming title favorites? This is essentially what the MVP race is boiling down to. A player with ungodly numbers propelling his team to compete at a level they have no business being at, or a historically great scoring juggernaut who is the sole leader of the best team in recent history. And the answer to this question may boil down to a third and final ingredient to the MVP award, a factor that has often ultimately decided who has won in the past and will more than likely be the deciding factor this season.
In
ESPN's most recent MVP straw poll, 100 members of the media were asked to cast their vote on who they thought was the MVP of the 2025 NBA season. The results? Within the top 5, Donovan Mitchell received 0 first-place votes. So did Tatum, and so did Giannis. Nikola Jokić received 30, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander received 70 of the 100 first-place votes. So far, the media has spoken, and they think Shai is this season's most valuable player. But in more recent surveys asking players, NBA executives, and NBA analysts, out of the 25 votes that were casted, 18 were in favor of Jokić, and only 7 voted for Shai. Which brings us to our third ingredient in the MVP. Narratives. Beyond what you do on the court, the story has to be in your favor as well. And at the moment, every narrative is beaming directly at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to become this season's most valuable player. First and foremost, he is the best player on the best team, a formula that has led to more MVPs than any other. While Jokić is fighting the uphill battle of voter fatigue, Shai is ripe to receive his first MVP. He's not just having a great season, he's having an all-time great.
That's also something that should be talked about. Voter fatigue is a thing. Okay? People get bored, they move on, and they vote for something different because they just want to see something different. You'll have people that want to vote for the same guy every single year in and year out. And then you'll have somebody that's like, well, he won like twice. And that's, I think Nick Wright brought it up. He said winning your first one is easier than winning your second one. And winning your second one is a lot easier than winning your third one. And winning your third one is probably your last one, because winning your fourth one is nearly impossible. Because it is. Because you have to be able to push past the voter fatigue enough to make people vote for you and go, this guy is playing so unbelievable that it would be a crime to not give it to him. And there's just no room for error. Jokić is playing so unbelievable, but there's just not enough team wins. That's it. Right? Because if he was just the second seed and he was down by like 3 games behind Oklahoma City, Jokić wins it. Point blank, period. It's not even a conversation. But it's because he's so far behind the first seed that they can't justify giving it to Jokić, and you indate that with voter fatigue. I don't think it's fair. In my opinion, I don't think voter fatigue's fair because you're punishing a player for not being able to push past their limit. Everything has a peak. That's why I get in arguments with people all the time as far as LeBron's scoring record goes and why I feel like no one's going to touch it. Why? Because there's such things as a peak. Okay? I feel like the evolution of basketball is going to continue and players are going to continue to get better. But I feel like we're close to peak. If not, we might be there already. And that may be a controversial stance. But the way human bodies work, the type of medicine that's available nowadays, like, it'll get better. But you can only get so much better. So right now, Jokić, the type of numbers he's putting up is fucking amazing. But I wouldn't be surprised if next year he decreases. Not because he's slowing down. Not because he's getting worse. But because he hit his peak. It's like Jokić is at a 99 and you're asking him to play at 100 before you're going to allow him to get the award. And I just don't think that's fair. Because he's playing intense, insane, amazing basketball, showing that without him, they're not even a playoff team, and with them, they're championship contenders. But you're asking him to play better than that, and there's not much better you can play. So that's why voter fatigue to me is kind of bullshit, but it is what it is. It's a thing. It is something that happens. I'm not saying it's fair, but it is something that happens, and it's going to continue to happen. And that's why Shai may win a second one, but then he's going to find it almost impossible to win a third one. It's just going to be that way, and it might continue to be that way until new voters come in and maybe they feel different about voter fatigue. But for now, that's what it's going to be.
Individual season. He plays both sides of the ball. He is the leader of the NBA's brightest young team, and in a league that's been searching for a fresh face, Shai is front and center. SGA has what I consider to be the perfect MVP resume this season. He checks every single box for what you would want in your most valuable player. He has the marquee performances, he has the momentum, he has the caliber, and of course, he's never won it before. But narratives can also lead us astray. They can allow our emotions to dictate how we perceive what we are actually seeing. And that's where precedence gives us points to reference in search for the most fair and accurate conclusion. It allows us to not be prisoners of the moment, but instead consider the history of the game and the unwritten rules we've abided by up to this point. Precedence tells us that no matter how great a player is, winning 4 MVPs before making it to the finals even twice is completely unheard of, even for the greatest players to ever play. For this same reason, voter fatigue is a frustrating but very real thing. If the MVP award purely went to the most valuable player in the league every season, Michael Jordan and LeBron would each be sitting on about 8 of them right now. Instead, the award sort of blends from one season to the next, taking in the context of everything that came before it and the consequences of it. Decades ago, MVP voters decided that the award was not reserved for the best player or even the player having the best season. Instead, it was an award that had multiple ingredients, multiple boxes that needed to be checked off. But even by their own criteria, what qualified a player to be the MVP was changing all the time. If it was simply the player having the best season, Michael Jordan would have won it about 8 times. If it was the best player on the best team, Michael Jordan would have won it about 8 times. But instead,
God damn. Like I said, respect to MJ. He is definitely top 2, and he is 2. Fight me on it.
He has 5, which has essentially set a firm benchmark on how voters vote for the foreseeable future. Voters messed up by not rewarding MJ with the number of MVPs he rightfully earned, and so every player that came after him is held to the same arbitrary, convoluted standard. As one fan put it, sports writers regret not giving Jordan all the MVPs and now punish everyone after that like it's a Supreme Court case and not just something they could change at any time. A case of we do it this way because we've always done it this way. The MVP award should be given to the most valuable player in the league, but it's not quite that simple, and it never has been. To make the argument that Jokić deserves the MVP because he is objectively having the best season in basketball right now would be the most logical conclusion. But it would also be ignoring the 78 years of history, tradition, and expectations that we have come to follow. Based on the responses to this discussion so far, it appears that now more than ever, the players and the people involved in the NBA from game to game view the award as a reflection of simply who is the best, most impactful player. And the media looks at it through the lens more of story and narrative. And in the end, it is the media who gets to vote. With less than a month left in the regular season, the race for the MVP only seems to be getting tighter with each game. And in what is shaping up to be the greatest MVP battle we have ever seen, voters will have to either stay the course and vote for a player that has built a near perfect MVP case, or make a rare exception to a player that is quite possibly having the most impactful individual season in modern NBA history.
I don't know. Like, my solution as far as, like, voting for MVP, if we want to make this more fair and make this easier to truly understand as far as why they voted for a certain player over another player, I think we should kind of just break it down like this. If you voted for SGA, tell me why you voted for him and tell me 5 reasons why he's better than any other player in the league. And if you voted for Jokić, the same thing. Because I feel like if you actually get these voters to actually defend their votes, then it might be a little more difficult for them to actually just cast a vote because they just feel and it's off their feelings. Right? That's just how I feel. I feel like that's the easiest way. Make voters defend their votes. Don't let them just vote off their feelings. Make them defend their vote and make them explain why they're doing it. And I think this shit gets solved. That's it. So, yeah, I think that was a good video. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And yeah, that's just one of those things when it comes to this MVP this year. If you think Jokić should win, trust me, I'm the same guy. I'm with you. But when it comes down to narrative, of course they're going to give it to SGA. That is what it is. You may disagree with that. You may not like that. You may think it's kind of bullshit. And hey, I might be there with you. But there's nothing that can be done. And I don't think there's nothing that will be done as far as... I don't think there's anything that will be done as far as this change because voter fatigue will always be a thing. Voters will come in and out of the league. Covering the league, I should say. And it's just not going to change until we make them change it, right? So that's what I feel. How do you make people change? How do you make people defend their actions? You make them explain their actions. So that's my suggestion. I don't know if it's going to be done. I don't know if it'll ever be done. But I think it should. And I'm not saying in like a short, one hand, one sentence shit. I think every voter should have to cast their vote and with it an essay. Like this is some homework. Because it should be. You are an NBA voter for MVP. Okay? If you're going to vote, yeah. I don't care if it's homework. Bro, you're a voter. Yes, I want to know. Give me an essay on why you feel. It could be a couple paragraphs. It doesn't have to be a full essay, but I want a column from every single voter. I want a column on ESPN. I want to be able to go to ESPN.com and it would click on NBA and it should see like NBA voters. And they can stay anonymous. That's fine. But NBA voters, click on that and I should see essay after essay. Like I said, it could just be a couple paragraphs. It doesn't have to be super long. But multiple paragraphs from each voter telling me why they voted for the MVP, what they characterize, what they feel that guy did better than the other guys, and why. Like, that's what I should be reading. Just make them defend it. But I don't know, bro. Maybe we get there one day, maybe we don't. But until we do, I'm going to be here yapping about it. Thank you guys for joining my video. If you guys are new to my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I talk about everything basketball. I talk about everything drama. I upload 3 basketball and 3 drama videos a week. Sometimes I go live and play video games. Sometimes I go live and talk about my content. Sometimes I go live and just talk to you guys. So pay attention to my posts, my YouTube posts, because that's when I'll be telling you when I go live. And until next time, my friends, I love you. I'll see you. Be safe, be smart, and have a great day. Deuces.